We're so grateful, and this is such a wonderful kickstart to ELSA Talks for 2019. We couldn't have asked for a better theme than who will lead India tomorrow, with this powerful young gen politicians, parliamentarians amidst us, and all thanks to Priya Sahgal, the senior business editor for NewsX and the author of Contender. Without going more into details, I'm going to hand over the mic to Priya to start the conversation. Dilip, a big hello to you, and thank you for supporting ELSA work.
Well, I think we need to put on mics.
Supporters of ELSA are called Alsatians, or? Just checking.
Well said, Dilip. Well, on that note, a very warm welcome, and may I introduce my rather good-looking panel. We have, of course, Anurag Thakur. As you know, he's a BJP MP. He's also been the BJP youth leader. He's a former BCCI chief, and he's someone who's also known for his rather feisty speeches in Parliament. He's been taking on Rahul Gandhi, and don't be fooled by these looks. He can be pretty headstrong when he wants to be. Kalikesh Deo, also BJD MP. He's another one that you should watch out for. He's been making some very interesting speeches in Parliament. And the thing to catch out for from his speeches or the conversation we're going to have is exactly which side is the BJD. Is he going to be supporting his friend Anurag, or is he going towards the Congress, or is he going to hedge his bet? So watch out for what he says. And of course, Dilip Charen, another one who doesn't need any introduction. So he's going to be my secret co-anchor. That's the deal Dilip and I have usually on my shows. Whenever I run out of conversations or pointers, so he kind of takes the show along. So welcome, Dilip. And we're going to be joined by Jayant Chaudhary. He's, of course, let him come, then I'll introduce him. So to begin with, Anurag, you know, I wrote a book, as you know, on the young politicians. But there is a problem in India, the way I see it, you know, because the older generation never retires, guys like you will never get a chance. You know, people at 45, 50 are prime ministers and presidents of their country. How long will you have to wait?
Good evening, everyone. I think in a country of 1.3 billion, I said billion, you don't need to wait. You need to keep doing something to be recognized and to get an opportunity. You don't need to be negative in your thinking. You have to be positive. So you don't need a position to perform. You can do a lot of things with whatever you have in whatever position you have. Many people have positions, but they can't deliver, or they could not deliver. So I think it's not about retirement. If you look at Bharatiya Janata Party, Arjun Munda was one of the youngest chief ministers. Look at Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Raman Singh ji was at a very young age became chief ministers. Arun Jaitley ji, Sushma Swaraj, Rajiv Pratap, Rudy. Shahnawaz Hussain was very young during Vajpayee ji's tenure. Anant Kumar ji and many others. Even in current Modi cabinet, I think there is, again, you will see a lot of young faces. It's not that younger people are not getting opportunity. They are. It may be only me who's been left out, but that's a...
I just read your very impressive biodata. I don't think you can complain at all, Anurag. Kalikesh, your take on the Gennext versus the older guard?
In the BJP? Oh, come on. Have you seen the average age of the cabinet in the BJP? No offense to all my friends here. The Congress had some old people, but they had some young guys which came in. The BJP has left my friend Anurag out. He has left every friend of mine who was with me from the BJP in Parliament last tenure. This current government is somehow cherry picks on some of the more senior people, but nobody more senior than Mr. Modi. And look at Mr. Advani, and if you are Mr. Advani's age, you're put out to pasture. If you're at Mr. Murli Manohar Joshi's age, you're put out to pasture. But if you are younger than Mr. Modi, you still have a hope to be in the cabinet or become chief minister. And that's the rule of the game pretty much everywhere in politics.
So there's hope for Anurag.
Yeah. He's got 20 years to go. He's got 20 years to go till he gets to 65. So
he's talking about his case also in the BJD.
Yes. Let's not forget your party.
I'm not. If I was an MLA, I would be a minister. I'm an MP here, so it's a different ball game. I'm not part of the government as yet.
Okay, the ministerial prospects of BJD, guys, I'm going to go into a bit later. But Dilip, we are also going to be joined by Jayant Chaudhary in a bit. Hi Jayant, welcome to this conversation.
So he just forged an alliance, so he's...
Yeah.
You forged the alliance, you're forging. Forged the alliance.
Has the alliance or...
I got a sweatshirt made. Thank you. Your design.
with Namo on it?
Wait for it.
So let me introduce Jayant Chaudhary. He is the Vice President of the Rashtriya Lokdal. He is the former Prime Minister Chaudhary Charen Singh's grandson. And he has just come back from Lucknow where, straight off the bat, have you forged that alliance with Mayawati and Akhilesh? Are you going to announce it here?
Poetic license.
Well, Priya has a habit of getting us together. And some things happen behind the scenes. I remember last time at your book launch, that was just close to the Rajasthan elections. And there was this one shot that I think you also tweeted about. Me, Charen and Akhilesh, all three of us are on sharing the stage. So I just say that today I'm still panting. I may look fit, I'm not.
Yes.
We had a good meeting. And we have taken a decision to be a part of what has been emerging for a few years now. And we want to remain consistent on that path. What contours take shape, who takes how many seats, that's something that we'll come out with. Let the tension build up a little more.
But you're on
Pop
the
some
path.
antacid pills.
Well, but you're on the path. I mean, you're very much in the Mahagathbandhan, am I right?
Yes, and we will maintain flexibility on shape, on issues of candidates. We will work with each other.
So the seats and all are still to be decided?
May or may not have been decided. There's still some play.
But
Rome wasn't built in a day.
So tell me about Kairana first. That's a question I think even Anurag wants the answer to.
Every seat of UP will become Kerala.
On that, do you want to come in, Anurag, before I get Dilip in?
I hope the election were decided in the debates like these. The elections are decided on the polling booths. And don't forget 2014, when most of the people used to put a question mark whether BJP will get majority or BJP will get more than 200 seats. With the blessings of the people, we formed the government with the majority in 2014 and will form the government again in the interest of the country, not for self-interest, forging alliances and just for our survival to be there.
Someone asked me why there's no Congress here, but look at the smirks from both sides. I don't think we are missing the Congress very much. But Dilip...
we want to give you some news.
So we have two breaking news. One is that Jayant is part of the Mahagathbandhan and the BJP is coming back to power. So make what you will of that. Dilip, your take on these two news actually?
My sense is that what we are seeing just now is a bit of shadow play. There is no reason why the BJP should not say that they're going to get a majority, and there's no reason why they should expect a majority either. Exactly like that, the Mahagathbandhan, I think, will be work in progress till election dates are announced. And it should be. Because anything that is done just now can be either broken, torn apart, or put under pressure. And that's unfortunately the way politics is going. And I would say that the more things are kept out of the public eye, and Anurag's point is right, that debates like this are meant to air opinions and give you directions for thought. But if you're looking for nuggets of actual information, nobody's going to give you anything by way of information just now. Okay? All you're getting is the sense of what people are wanting to do. To my mind, this elections, and come back to the topic, is going to be yet another election which is going to be fought by the young. The old may think they are in command, but it's going to be the young who actually will take charge. And this is going to happen in party after party. And it doesn't matter what the leadership says, but you will find new, powerful young forces emerging in every single party. And voters will also look for the young faces, and they will reject a certain number of the people, whether because of anti-incumbency or whatever it is. They will reject some of the old and tiring faces that they've been re-electing time and time again. That's my feeling.
What about women?
Faces, I said.
But Anurag, we are also at what I call a baton-handing process in Indian politics. A lot of young leaders have come into their own. We have Rahul heading his party, Jayant really coming into his own, Akhilesh Yadav, Tejasvi Yadav, change of guard in the DMK where the Stalins have taken charge, change of guard in the Badals where the young Gennext has taken place. All over except the BJP, there are younger, newer faces. And of course, you're all waiting for Kalikesh to take charge.
Your question have the answer. You talked about the parties run by political families, dynasties. We have a young BJP president who started at the age of 14 with the RSS Shakha, and he's our national president today, Mr. Amit Shah ji. Look at our Prime Minister, who doesn't come from any family background, but he's the Prime Minister of India today. So, whether who will lead, who will not lead, is not decided by one family. It is decided by the organization. That's a basic difference.
But what are you offering to the younger voter? You're still offering a Prime Minister who's 2 years short of 70.
If you look at others, the way Mr. Modi connected with the younger generation, nobody in the past had given the opportunity for youngsters or any person, any individual, any Indian, to give his suggestions to the government. mygov.in is a portal where you can go and give your suggestions to the government. He interacts with the school children as far as the exams are concerned, education is concerned. He is using the social media for last 10 years, started when even younger people like us did not start. He had the maximum following with 45 million plus. That says it all. It's not about age. It's how you connect with the younger generation. And I think he's bonding well with the younger generation.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
One of the issues that, when you talk to people, and we guys all talk to people across generations, that people older than us have told us that you young people are going to falter because you are unable to strike any real relationships anymore. Our attention spans are limited, whether it's technology, Twitter, whatever, so it's whatever's on our file right now, whatever is present, we are switched on to that and we move on very fast. So, that's the new generation. And I think you're right, Modi ji was first mover on social media. His working style is also similar to this. In that, that's perhaps the only young thing in the way he looks at the world, is that for him, everything is presentation, putting yourself out there. May not be very meaningful, may not be very lasting at all, may not have much depth at all. And that's how I would characterize his government.
Yeah, but, event management, he's a very good event manager.
He is.
Fantastic.
You have to give him credit.
Far beyond most of what we have seen in politics before him.
He just got a marketing award.
That's true. That's true. Even that was managed, was it, Dilip? I think the good thing about him is that he changes goalposts very quickly. So he sort of connects with young voters who like to see different things. He's got an idea of what some of the young want. So he's got a very right-wing nationalist government appeal. He talks about being there for the country, doing things for nationalism. And the bad thing about him is also that he changes goalposts too quickly, because nothing actually ever gets achieved. And you can market. Can you market something? Can you market a product if it's not a good product? At the end of the day, in my opinions, you have to deliver a good product. There are some good things that he's done, but there are many which have been marketed but not really materialized. I think that's what the Indian voters will look for now. And if the opposition, something which I am a part of right now, if we are able to convince them of whether demonetization was a good thing or a bad thing, or whether, the manner in which GST has been implemented, not GST itself, but whether for a small shopkeeper, whether he has to sit from the 1st to the 7th of every month with his accountant just to file that monthly return, rather than what he could have done once in 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. So there are many things which need to be ironed out. It's going to be a battle of perception. It's going to be a battle of money, event management also. something which the BJP is much better than most of the parties at. But I think, despite all the bravado that Anurag or any of his other party members might have, you will see a much more diminished BJP now. And I think they can sense it.
So I just
Let
want to say...
him come in before he's diminished.
No, I'm not. This is just the add-on to that.
Magnanimous
You're
BJP.
right. I also believe that it is basically a Tata Nano problem. Can you market a bad product? But,
You can.
You can. It has to have buyers.
You can market a bad product, you can con a whole bunch of people for a certain period of time. But the advantage that Mr. Modi has today, and we have to concede that, is that none of the people who are competing with him have shown a markedly superior delivery of any product. So that's the advantage that he has. So at the moment, you have, as the opposition, the advantage of knocking his performance, asking him questions. But if you look at any of the leaders, whether it's from Stalin to anybody, to Mayawati, etc., there are people who may say, oh, remember how Mayawati brought down crime. But the fact is, at the moment, the perception is not of a bunch of people who can deliver something, but a bunch of people who are keen to wrest power for themselves. So that perception also, if the opposition is to take advantage of it, will have to change. And they'll have to work on changing that quite fast.
But you can't expect the opposition to come out with everything when you're not in government. So.
Okay, let Anurag now come up with this answer.
No, I could see how satisfied they feel by saying little things about Mr. Modi. But they must acknowledge, the way he brought a transparent government and brought accountability into the system. Whether it is the implementations of the central subsidy, various schemes, central sponsored schemes. I can talk about Ujjwala Yojana, which our minister comes from the state of Odisha. More than 60 million LPG cylinders, subsidized cylinders, which could not happen in the last 70 years, he did that. Ayushman Bharat, 500 million Indians will get a treatment, health treatment worth 5 lakh rupees free of cost. Why couldn't previous governments do it? It's not only about marketing. It's about bringing programs and implement them successfully. If more than 10 lakh people have taken the advantage in less than 140 days, we have done it. You can't only market product without coming out with something. We have opened 360 million bank accounts. Why couldn't they do it? 220 million insurance worth only with 12 rupees, 2 lakh rupees insurance. We did that. We have built more than double highways, more than double the rail network in last 4.5 years. These are not marketing gimmicks. These are the government figures which year on year basis, it comes from the state governments to the central government. It is the central data which speaks for itself. And we have done it. That's why we were able to do it.
I'm going to just jump in. Just 1 second. So that's what I mean about marketing, right? You spoke about what? 5 crores or 10 crores Ujjwala Yojana?
6 crores.
6 crores. I'm on that committee also. In the state of Orissa, 70% of those women who've got Ujjwala don't go back for a second refill because they can't afford it. They take the first one, the subsidy is done, and then they are back to collecting wood and burning wood. And that's when I say the implementation is not always there. You need to find a way to make it sustainable. What's the price point at which these poor tribal women can go and get the cylinders? You come up with a financing option for them. Come up with something which works in their budgets. Ultimately, by just giving a freebie, there's no solution to the problem until you address the problem itself.
एक आदत है
हाँ
कोई सिगरेट पीता तो एक रात में नहीं छूटती है उसको समय लगता है छोड़ने में
वो 50 दिन 5 साल और 50 साल
नहीं मैं यही कह रहा हूँ जिसको सारी उम्र लकड़ी ढोने की आदत थी आप उसके घर में रसोई गैस का सिलेंडर रख भी देंगे उसको आहिस्ता आहिस्ता वो आदत लगेगी और लगी है एक नहीं 3 सिलेंडर भी लोगों ने वापस लिए इफ़ दे आर एबल टू बाय इट दे मे नॉट बी consuming the same number of LPG cylinder what you and I use.
No, these are
that may be on the lower side.
These are government
and
figures.
Data is also curated. So your highway statistics also from 1st April what they've done is if it's a 4-lane highway, you're going to count it as 4 kilometers, not 1 kilometer.
Well, that's smart counting.
If you don't have an answer to anything, then come out with these kind of questions.
But you waved a red flag. You named Ujjwala. How can he let a minister from Orissa get away?
I review that scheme every month.
Yeah, that's something he's keeping an eye on. But all these schemes, Dilip, all hype and no promise. Or we can go in the statistics later. But has the Prime Minister at least given the impression of a deliverer more than the previous governments? He's come up with all these.
See, he has given the image of somebody who can promise, and his touch points are multiple. So it's ranging from gas to insurance to whole bunch of things. So in many senses, this is typical marketing tactic where no part of your target audience is not offered something concrete, and that helps because everybody feels that I have been included in this scheme. Being able to run those schemes efficiently and to be able to get those gas cylinders renewed is very vital to making that real for that person. But in terms of creating the legend of Modi, as it were, it's a pretty complete picture. So here is a man who's done his planning and knows that in every single ministry, you've not even talked about the giving of houses. Okay, so there are all kinds of schemes everywhere, and there's almost no one who can feel, at least who is below a certain poverty line, that they have not been promised something. Will promises be enough? Have promises been delivered on is the question, and the opposition has to get geared to getting the figures right.
I like good more than bravery though.
No, I'll say something here, what Dilip has mentioned. See, with the use of technology, you have made the system accountable. Aadhaar was there when Congress was there. But we have used it for the ration shops as well, for the direct bank transfers, for the LPG subsidy, pension schemes and various other schemes. It has saved more than 90,000 crores of the government, which used to be taken out of the system. If you say it a market gimmick, you can say that.
Where's all the money going? You're saving so much money on your
this
auction,
Ayushman Bharat, your LPG subsidized cylinders, your insurance schemes, your highways, your railways.
Anurag.
These have been built by saving money.
Anurag, Ayushman Bharat has cost you 10,000 crores. The subsidies for the gas cylinders comes from the PSUs, and you're a friend. I'm very fond of you, but you have driven the PSUs bankrupt. They are either paying for CSR, which is basically promoting NDA's government programs, or they are paying for massive meetings where the Prime Minister is inaugurating some function or the other, or something which is quite clever, I think. ONGC bought out HPCL, and of course the government was the equity holder in both these companies, and the government got 30,000 crores for this equity in HPCL, which they have taken and used up in whichever manner they have used up. And they still effectively control both companies, because they control ONGC, which controls HPCL. ONGC used to be a debt-free company. I
thought you have an interest in Odisha, but you have interest in petroleum industry.
Of course I do. I worked for 5 years in the petroleum industry, and I spent 8 years in the committee. And of course, your ministers are...
Back to Odisha.
I think Anurag is dying on the Orissa part of it. But since the petroleum minister is from Orissa and also hyped to be the CM candidate of that state, so hence where Kalikesh is coming from.
If they win.
But at least he can try, he can make a bid.
Of course.
But Anurag, this Modi versus the rest narrative, we are seeing it here also on the table. Are you worried about it at all? I know you want to make it a personalized personality issue. They are definitely not going to make it like that. So what are you going to do?
Are you asking me the BJP strategy?
Yes.
Here? In a debate?
Give us some hint.
I'm not the right person to ask it.
You are the right person because
but
you are one of the star campaigners.
I think the fear of the opposition clearly shows that they can't fight Modi on their own, and that is why they're joining hands. But even by joining hands with different ideologies, they won't be able to fight it. It is an alliance of people who do the politics of casteism, communalism and corruption. they are coming together, it won't succeed.
I don't even know what to do.
He's just announced that it succeeded.
You know, in our state, the chief minister goes around doing meetings, Nishad Sammelan, and you know, you're inaugurating statues of.
Sabka saath, sabka vikas.
Sab caste ka saath, yes.
Sabka saath, sabka vikas.
Okay, so let me say one kind word for Anurag's party here. I think the best thing going for Mr. Modi is that the other options don't compare. And that's where my party sort of is weighing its options of not going with either.
Suddenly Kalikesh has remembered that he has to sit on the
I have
fence.
a party line.
Yes.
No, look, numbers are clear, projects are bad, proposals are bad, the manner in which it's implemented, it's bad. I'm going to point that out. But if you ask me on the overall picture, on the macro picture, I think a credible alternative to Mr. Modi is yet to emerge.
Kalikesh, if everything is bad, then how come Indian economy becomes 6th from 10th position in just 4 years?
Do you know how many economists have suspected the new way for the statistics office organization, the new numbers they come up?
Anything we do,
every
you
economist has
suspect.
criticized it. Every economist from outside of India and within India has criticized the way the CSOs come up with the new numbers. For the first time in the history of India, the CSO has been accused of fudging numbers.
And your capital formation is declining to like lowest figures in last 10 years, 26-27%. CMI has come out with the report on unemployment. Just do a normal survey, go out on the streets and ask anyone, are you earning today what you used to earn or make 5 years ago?
I simply ask you a question.
No.
What was sugar price in 2014 per kilo?
Sir, Kisan is not getting that price.
No, as a consumer I'm asking you. It was 55 rupees kilo, today is 38 rupees kilo. The pulses were 150 and 160 rupees kilo. Today it is 60 rupees kilo.
What was the petrol price in 2014?
Diesel.
It can't be that you keep saying whatever you have
Electricity
to.
across states of India.
Okay, before this becomes Anurag versus the rest, Dilip, can you come in a bit?
I'm on his side.
No, Kalikesh, you're not sure which side
I
he's on.
really think that this is not about trying to sort out prices of vegetables at this point of time. If you look at where the country is headed in the future, and I think that's what the debate is supposed to be, we've got to understand that the country is headed definitely to a splintered future. There is no doubt that this monolith kind of party which controls, runs, and is beholden to two people is not going to be the playing field of tomorrow. That there's no doubt about it. Whether they will be in power.
Don't call it splintered. It sounds negative. Call it consensus based.
I would say that
democratic.
No, let me choose my words. I'm saying that I get a feeling that you will find that statistically, every time India has had a coalition government, growth rates have been higher. Frightening fact. Growth rates are higher when there is no majority government. Now, you may say that this is because the animal spirits of Indians who know how to run their businesses gets unleashed. But the fact is that across the last 10 governments, all coalition governments have shown higher growth rates. If growth rates are down now, and there's no doubt that growth rates are down, everybody in this room can bear witness to that. The fact is that any new government that comes in has a huge task ahead. And the task is not about running a monolith. It's about allowing states, it's allowing individual interests to start coming to the fore. Will that result in a lot of chaos? Not as much as you think it will, because we've seen it before. And most of us recognize that this country works best when there is a certain level of chaotic functioning going on. We are not a top-down democracy which is dictated by a bunch of people because they happen to be voted into power. And I think that's going to be the big change that we're
And
seeing.
any resemblance to the present government is just coincidental.
Any resemblance to any government, present or past, is actually coincidental.
So Anurag, before I throw the floor open to questions, a lot of people are saying that this time the BJP may be the single largest, but they're going to lose about 100 seats. If you don't agree with this, where are you going to make those seats from?
A lot of people, maybe like few on the panel, but that's not the common man's perception. People have seen the advantage of it, and if India is still the fastest growing economy, and few may not agree on that, they may have their own viewpoint, but the figures can't change.
Okay, one more question, Anurag. You must have met a lot of people who voted for Modi last time and who may not vote for him again. But I want to know some person who hasn't voted for Modi and it says, okay, I will vote for him this time. Anyone? Has he changed the mind of even one person?
Many.
In his favor?
Of course, yes.
He's the enforcer.
जब हम 2014 में थे प्रिया जी, तब 6 राज्यों में सरकारें थी या 16 राज्यों में है. अगर आप ये भी कहेंगे कि ये भी झूठ है, तो 2014 से लेकर 2018 तक 6 से 16 राज्यों में सरकारें हुई, तो मोदी जी ने और मोदी जी के काम ने कन्विंस किया होगा तभी हुई है. इसलिए मैंने कहा कि पैनल डिस्कशन पे सरकारें डिसाइड नहीं करते, गिने चुने लोग या लुटेंस रैली नहीं करती. ये देश का गरीब भी करता है, आम आदमी भी करता है, देश के व्यापारी से लेकर कर्मचारी भी करता है. और हमने हर वर्ग के लिए काम किया, सबका साथ सबका विकास. इसलिए मैं कहता हूं कि 272 से ज़्यादा 300 से ज़्यादा सीटें लेकर आएंगे. और ये केवल इमेज में मेकओवर के लिए नहीं है. सर्टन पीपल हैव टू डू दैट. इट इज़ द एक्चुअल वर्क विच हैज़ बीन डन विच डजंट नीड एनी ब्रांडिंग.
I never want to play poker with you, man.
On that note, any questions from the audience? Vinita? The mic is coming. Meanwhile, let me introduce Vinita. She is the president of the LSR alumni, and we thank her for this evening.
Yeah, never mind. I think I'm audible. My question is, you are a very accomplished panel, and you are very accomplished young generation leaders, and you are very engaging. And we have a lot of expectations of you, and we see in you our future leaders. So here's my question. What is the sustainable goalpost, which I'm pulling from your thread now? What is that one sustainable goalpost for each one of you, which will become your election vision for us on this side? And what is that one thing that you would not want to continue, which has happened in the last 4 or 5 years? Each one, please.
Okay. I would say that this whole mistreated concept of what India actually is, the revival of that should be the theme of what the opposition is wanting to do. Not the India of the last 5 years, but the India that we have all fought for and brought to being many years ago. I think that's the theme.
One thing you don't want to continue?
One thing I don't want to continue, I would say, we shouldn't become a police Raj.
Well, I think very well put. For me, the thing that I don't want to continue with is, like you said, state everywhere. I want pluralism to become mainstream again. I want secularism not to be a bad word anymore. I don't want to have to wear my religious beliefs on my sleeve, and especially not for it to become an election agenda. What I want, for me, is the largest issue that really disturbs me is that in a country that produces so much, farmers are still not getting their share of the pie. Malnutrition is a real problem. It's really a blot on the face of so many years of experience of having a system that we inherited, that we've run, that we've tinkered with, that we've brought in new ideas with, that we've tried to introduce technology to, that still doesn't work. For me, if you can fix that system, that's the biggest achievement we can do.
The one thing that I've really disliked in the last 5 years has been the feeling of uneasiness, the feeling of disharmony, the anger, even within the political spheres, between the Congress and the BJP, and the level to which people have gone down to display it, to attack their opponents, or to create disharmony between castes, religions, etc., etc. While I'm a practicing Hindu, I follow my religion, I don't believe it has any space outside my bedroom or my home. I don't think, and I agree with Jayant, that we don't have to go around flaunting our religion or our caste, which seems to be the basic anathema today. Mr. Yogi is a friend of mine from UP. When he became Chief Minister, I was pretty happy because I spent 8 years with him in Parliament. But the first photograph which came out was him doing arti to a cow, which is fine. The second photograph which came out was him, announcing with 2 cows of, was it Gaumutra or Gaushala? I'm forgetting which were the 2. So it bothers me when people try and influence society by infringing on their religious, political, or identity beliefs. I think that needs to go. What I think what needs to come in is a more real view of politics. If we are talking about politics, we should be talking about jobs, about the economy, about what's actually happened, create institutions which are independent. We need to trust the CBI. We should be able to trust our courts. We should be able to trust the Central Statistics Organization. When they say there's a growth rate. The fact is, at this point of time, I'm unable to trust most of my institutions. I'm worried about the kind of conflict or potential conflict which exists within society, and I see it getting more and more divided. When are we going to find someone who can unify us?
It's a fight of falsehood versus truth now. The perception which has been created, when they are unable to fight on various numbers, counter that with the growth what we have done, the delivery what we have done at the grassroots level. These kind of things in the coming years, like today you talk about uneasiness and all that. The people who have done the politics of appeasement for last so many years, when they talk about such things, who's going to believe? Maybe you're countered and cornered. That is why you're looking for a shelter to become joint hands and become a force. All I'm trying to say here is, for me, the next 5 years is very crucial for the country. In a way, the growth what we require to create more jobs, better infrastructure, more opportunities within India. And I think it's very important to have a stable government. I don't agree with Dilip to have a 20 parties coalition government. I think we need a more stable and strong government who can take decisions. At the same time, despite that we having the full majority, we took our allies along with us in the NDA.
What allies? They've all gone.
In politics, Jayant was our ally a few years back. He may not be today. He may be tomorrow. You were our partner in the past. You may be our future partner. So ये दिल पे लगा के यही खुश रहना पड़ेगा. ये दिल के पास यही लगाइए. ऐसे ही काम चलाना पड़ेगा. So मेरा मानना है अगले 5 वर्ष इसलिए भी महत्वपूर्ण है कि जिस तरह से भारत आगे बढ़ा है उसको और आगे बढ़ने के लिए एक स्टेबल लीडरशिप देश में और दुनिया में भारत का नाम करने के लिए भी जो अभी भी हुआ है और जो कलिकेश ने बाहर जाके महसूस भी किया होगा विदेशों में जाके वो और असर उसका देखने को आगे मिले. ये सब मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हो सकता है और ये जो ट्रांसपेरेंसी गवर्नमेंट के अंदर लाने की जो हमने कहा था करप्शन फ्री गवर्नमेंट देने की हमने करके दिखाया वो आगे भी करेंगे.
इन आर्मी देयर इज ए गन दैट फायर्स एंड मूव्स अवे.
I hope it's not Rafael or a Bofors.
No, Modi is like that. He says something, throws a jumla, and then forgets about it.
Okay.
And for transparency, let BJP do some transparency in regard to Rafael. Give the figures, give the details. For the public, it is our money.
Okay.
We have a need to know.
ठीक है. Thank you. Thanks so much.
उस पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी देख लिया प्राइसिंग प्रोसीजर दोनों पे देखने के बाद.
Hi, so can I ask my question now? Hi, I'm Savira here, and my very pertinent question is that why do we have no woman on this panel?
You have Priya.
Please, no, it's not Priya. How come we have no representative of
LSR is
women?
Organizing it. So
no.
I think we crowded out any women before.
So I guess we need to have some more women and move away from patriarchy.
No, my question is why aren't there enough women in the audience considering LSR is organizing it?
No, there are quite a few here. So could somebody from the panel answer? Why are there no women on the panel?
Priya, please answer. You have organized this.
Priya is the journalist. I want to know from the politicians.
Maybe Dilip.
I think that...
Have you read her book?
Yes, thank you.
Have you read her book? How many women in that?
Two.
क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहता हूँ मैं. शुरू में मोदी जी कहते थे 70 साल में कांग्रेस ने कुछ नहीं किया है. उस 70 साल का आज तक वो कैलकुलेशन नहीं बता पाए. बाद में वो चेंज कर दिया, 50 साल करने लगे. दूसरी बात, महागठन के बाद में कहते हैं कि वो आपस में लड़ते रहते हैं, और ये वाजपेयी जी के टाइम में भी था महागठबंधन 23। और तीसरी बात ये है कि अमित शाह कहते हैं हम वो करेंगे जो जनता के लिए अच्छा है, हम वो नहीं करेंगे जो उनको अच्छा लगता है।
क्योंकि बहुत सारे निर्णय ऐसे होते हैं जो शुरू में लगता है कि ये देश हित में या व्यक्ति के हित में नहीं है, लेकिन देश हित में है। आप देखिए 130 करोड़ के देश में 3 करोड़ 80 लाख लोग टैक्स देते थे, लेकिन 130 करोड़ के देश में हर व्यक्ति चाहता था कि उनको लाभ मिले। आज अगर 2 साल के अंदर 6 करोड़ 80 लाख लोग टैक्स दे रहे हैं और उससे 50 करोड़ लोगों को 5 लाख रुपए का इलाज प्रतिवर्ष मुफ्त में मिल रहा है, एलपीजी सिलेंडर्स पर सब्सिडी मिल रही है, ज़्यादा लोगों को मिल पा रहा है, तो उससे फ़ायदा है। जीएसटी के आने से आपका टैक्स कलेक्शन बेहतर होती है। ईज़ ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में आप 142वें स्थान से 77वें स्थान पर जाते हो, तो फ़र्क पड़ता है।
I hope the panel does acknowledge the vantage point of our discussion, being that India is not, but at least is aiming to be a welfare state, and that citizens have certain entitlements vis-a-vis their relationship with the state. So when we're talking about those entitlements being recognized in terms of rights that are fundamentally recognized by the Constitution, they're not merit-based. So I will not get healthcare or water or anything just because I'm paying taxes. I will get that because I'm a citizen of the state, and it's the responsibility. Also because of the very fact that India is India is a result of an anti-colonial struggle. Now the question being, from the entire panel, and not just BJP, because BJP is just a logical conclusion of what all other parties have been doing for 70 years.
Oh, that's a bad one, Anurag.
At least you're being called logical.
Look at the brighter side.
Yeah. So not making a distinction between the corporate state nexus that every party has perpetrated for the last 70 years, I'd like to ask, how would you justify, or you can't, but still, how would you like to answer the rise of a post-truth paradigm that is one of the most characteristic features of fascist governments so far, which is nothing new. So there is complete lack of imagination there, which means that there has been a very significant rise in anti-intellectual policies of the state, coming from fund cuts into universities, attacking universities, attacking democratic dissenting spaces, and a complete burden of shift in burden of proof from the accuser
Let
to the
somebody
state.
answer your question.
It's a very good question, and pretty complex to understand and follow the question also. I got some of the words correct, so hopefully I'll say your question. Look, it's not just a domestic phenomena. Across the world, you've seen this rise of anti-liberalism, anti-intellectualism, and I believe, this is my personal belief, I may be completely off, but I think it's a backlash from the anti-globalization sort of phenomena. You've had 15, 20 years of fast-paced globalization, liberalization of economies, and also pushed far ahead with the advent of technology, with the internet essentially. So you can be sitting here in India and selling stuff in the US, etc., etc. Now, what's happened is that you've actually taken away a lot of the benefits, the jobs, and the economic prosperity of certain middle-class workers across the world. So the US, the blue-collar people in the US are angry. The Midwest phenomena, they want their jobs back. So they criticize globalization, they criticize the liberals who they believe they've taken jobs from them. It's essentially, in my mind, it's essentially the anger comes out of a loss of economic prosperity for a certain segment of groups. And what has happened with the liberalization phenomena is it started off with a certain unity in their core strength, and it's gone beyond that. They've become more and more fractured. So you've had intellectuals going one way, you've had gay rights coming up, you've had lots of stuff happening, right? So the liberal front has become fractured. If you want to call it the conservative front, they become more united against jobs. So that's why you see this anger which is directed at whatever it can be directed at. And you see governments or politicians tapping that anger across the world. Brexit, the US, Poland, India. Yeah. So what is the answer if you're searching for the answer, so are we all. Yeah.
Okay, last question to AJ. Yeah.
मेरा सवाल अनुराग ठाकुर जी से है। 2014 के इलेक्शन में बीजेपी ने एक एंटी करप्शन ड्राइव को प्रोपगेट किया कि मनमोहन सिंह की गवर्नमेंट करप्ट है, कोल स्कैम, 2G स्कैम, 3G स्कैम। तो मोदी जी आए, लोक आयुक्त आएगा, काम ठीक तरीके से होगा, एवरीबडी विल बी अकाउंटेबल। बट इस गवर्नमेंट के जाते जाते वही इल्ज़ाम जो मनमोहन सिंह गवर्नमेंट पे थे वो आज की डेट में मोदी गवर्नमेंट पे हैं। चाहे वो राफेल का मुद्दा हो, चाहे वो CVC का मुद्दा हो, या CBI की इनफाइटिंग बिटवीन, जो कहते हैं ना प्रमोशंस में एक गवर्नमेंट की इंटरफेरेंस। UPSC है, स्टेट कमीशंस हैं, बट इंटरफेरेंस जो पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस है जिसकी वजह से आप समझिए कि ये बातें निकल के आती हैं कि कौन किसका आदमी है। हाँ, sorry, institutions are being attacked because there's political interference amongst the institutions propagated by the politicians, by the people who are the office bearers, whether it was the UPA government or whether it's today the NDA government or tomorrow whatever Mahagathbandhan or NDA plus UPA government. मेरा पहला सवाल करप्शन से रिलेटेड था कि लोकायुक्त क्यों नहीं बना, और ये जी लोकपाल क्यों नहीं बना, और जो भी लोकायुक्त क्यों नहीं अपॉइंट हुए, लोकपाल क्यों नहीं बना, और ये करप्शन का जो मुद्दा जिसको लेके हर इलेक्शन में हम जाते हैं पब्लिक के पास, तो वो वही चीज़ फिर से 5 साल बाद वी आर एट द सेम with the same place and same time, and the faces have changed but the problem remains the same. So my last question is कि आपने कहा सबका साथ सबका विकास, तो मेरा सवाल एज अ वोटर है सबका साथ कहाँ है विकास?
ये जो गोल पोस्ट है ना, ये इस चुनाव से पहले बहुत बदलने वाले हैं। कोई बोलेगा करप्शन बढ़ गई, कोई बोलेगा इकोनॉमी ठीक नहीं बढ़ पाई। सच्चाई ये है कि सच आज कुछ लोगों को बहुत कड़वा लग रहा है। वर्ल्ड बैंक तो हिंदुस्तान की संस्था नहीं है दिलीप जी, IMF तो हिंदुस्तान की संस्था नहीं है। अगर वो लोग भारत की इकोनॉमी को 7.5% पर बताते हैं, if India is growing at 7.5%, it is not my figure. If the World Bank is saying so, you have to agree to that.
ख्याल रखें स्वदेशी जागरण मंच क्या कहता है कुछ?
And in the coming years also, it is predicted to do well. And yes, in the last 4.5 years, there was not even a single corruption case in India under Modi ji's rule. And I'm saying it time and again, I'll say it now again. आप मेरे भाई टाई बाई सूट वूट पहन के बैठोगे तब भी काम चलने वाला नहीं, क्योंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट से ऊपर आप नहीं हो। Pricing, procedure and offset partner, they have looked into all three, and after looking into all three, they said there is no commercial favoritism. And after that also, if certain individual says, oh, we don't agree, then go to the Supreme Court. Who's stopping them? They are not willing to go because they know they're going to lose. But they can create enough news outside by blaming a person who has been honest and has worked day and night for the benefit of India, for the growth of India. And that is Mr. Modi who has done so.
Can I say something to that? Problem of corruption is not based on certain individuals' work ethic. You have to understand that it is systemic. You are right, it is not a new problem. It is not a unique problem for India. It is basically, it belies a lack of faith in the system, lack of faith in the state. Means that the state's institutions are not working. And so I think, we don't really understand why this is happening. Voters don't really understand what is the solution. Prior to that election, there was a huge social movement and said कि भाई ये समस्या है, ये समाधान है. In reality, things are not so simplistic. You will create an authority, you give a stick to someone, that person will say, "Acha, now I have the stick. Now let me use it, do the same thing." So it's systemic. You have to look at, I think democracy is upheld by institutions, also by democratic norms. We forget the norms aspect. So if you have one leader saying, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to send everyone behind the jail, that means he's crushing norms. He's crushing procedure. And if he is crushing procedure, no one's going to believe in procedure or systems anymore. Exactly. So let's have faith in the system. Let's rebuild the system. Let's look at our bureaucracy's ability to actually govern, reform that. It's slow. There are no shortcuts.
Let me just once.
एक सेकंड बस. Okay. आपने लोकपाल बिल पढ़ा है? कुछ उसके बारे में बताएंगे? अधिकतर पत्रकार भी उस समय यही पूछते थे, लोकपाल यस और नो, यू रिमेंबर, हम तीनों पार्लियामेंट का यस और नो। उनसे वापस पूछिए आपने लोकपाल बिल में है क्या? ऐसा कौन से भारत के कानून में ऐसा नियम नहीं है जहां पर आप करप्शन करते हो आपको उसके लिए आपके खिलाफ एक्शन नहीं लिया जा सकता? 2012 के निर्भया केस के बाद भी सारी दुनिया सड़कों पर उतरी महिला को न्याय दिलाने के लिए। हमने कहा और कड़ा कानून बना दीजिए। उसके बाद भी क्या हुआ? इट्स मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट हाउ यू इम्प्लीमेंट द लॉ. Law is already there.
That's a good point, yeah. But I think now we're totally out of time. I know lots of hands are being raised, but I'm really sorry. We are kind of totally out of time. But thank you, and a big hand for our panelists. I think we had a brilliant discussion. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. And I'll give Vineeta to give the vote of thanks.
I thank everybody here today, and I think on behalf of the ELSA Alumni Association, the thing is that we are very proud to at least start engaging with our politicians, whichever age, whichever demography here on this panel, and all the best to all of you. As a token of appreciation, can I please request my EC members to give you a small token of ELSA's appreciation for you being here.